Dada to everybody. Welcome to Pure Finds, the podcast where four awesome guys talk about four awesome albums. I'm Chris Morrison.
I'm Ian.
I'm Cody.
Kyle.
And today we have a special guest star joining us, Christian Ghana.
Hola.
Well, we actually have a really cool... last week we tried to record, but things kind of messed up. But now we're back, and hoping it's going to be a good show. We got some great albums lined up. We're all ordered up, and Christian even came, and he brought an album, and we're just going to have a good old time. Christian, we go way back. Like, all of us as a crew, we all go way back.
Yeah, Except me.
Except you.
Well, in heart, he was with us from the beginning, but we're a tough gang here. The Channel Box, I still remember.
The Jackets.
From
the
Jackets.
from the Queens, even though we're from Fredericksburg, Virginia. We're fucking tough.
Alrighty. I think Kyle's up for... Oh, wait, actually, no, before that, we have a little bit of news about Leon Russell. Recently, what was this? We just found out.
He suffered a heart attack recently. Not sure how long ago, but he's in stable condition right now in the hospital.
Okay.
A lot of people know him from doing various works with other bands in the.
We talked about
60s,
him on one of the
70s.
first podcasts. He worked with the Cock on the Mad Dogs and Englishmen.
I think that was the first episode.
Yeah.
Yep.
It must have been. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the songs he wrote for Joe Cocker's kind of his claim to fame. Delta Woman. He wrote that song. We talked about that on the first cast.
Delta Lady.
Or Delta Lady. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Delta Lady.
He's
my
definitely
bad.
Ian's music hero.
Plays the
hero.
piano, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude with the top hat, long hair. This guy, I'm looking at Christian right now. I was like, this guy is a friggin' hippie. Like,
Well, I heard
Leon
that he
Russell's
did
awesome.
what? Cocaine with Eric Clapton? Is that what you said?
He wrote the original one, I believe.
I love that
Yes.
song.
Hey.
I actually like that
And
song.
that's a start. So, we're just going to zoom right into the show now. Kyle, you're up first.
I am up first. My album that I purely found. Chris purely found it. I purely bought it.
Yeah.
Or merely bought it.
With pure money.
Yes. Them greenbacks.
Shit.
But yes, this is Pet Sounds. I got this record at Books A Million, or is it Books?
It was Books A
A
Million.
Million, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was very, very happy with it. I love the Beach Boys, so I did mention Pet Sounds, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Yeah. So I'm a little tired from work, so it was released May 16th, 1966. It was recorded July 65 all the way up to April 66. It was recorded in various studios: United Western, Gold Star, CBS, Columbia Square, and Sunset Records in Hollywood. The singles on the album are Sloop John B, Wouldn't It Be Nice, of course, and God Only Knows. I have a couple favorites from the album, though, that are not really, popular, and that are really, really, really cool. Let me think here. First one is You Still Believe in Me, That's Not Me, and let's see here. There's another one, too, but I can't really think of it. If I think of it later, I'll let you know. But some really, really cool stuff, a lot of really cool instruments in the album. But
So many instruments.
yeah,
Yes.
it's crazy. 59 session players, right?
Ooh.
4
a lot.
engineers,
Yeah. The genius of Brian
2
Wilson.
guests.
Yep.
Guests.
2 guest players, one including Tony Asher, who plucked the piano strings on You Still Believe in Me. And that I thought was really cool. If you guys ever get a chance to watch Love and Mercy, the story of Brian Wilson and the Pet Sounds, and through all of his crazy, psychedelic, and psychotic episodes, like it's definitely really, really worth a watch if you're into music and you like the Beach Boys. But this is the 50-year anniversary of this record,
Hey.
so
Nice.
I really felt like bringing it to the cast. We tried doing this last week, and I
Yeah.
could not do this record again.
I feel you.
Especially with future casts. I really wanted to nail this one down.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some really cool things about this record, though. Paul McCartney said that this was, let me see, God Only Knows was the greatest song ever written. Those were
Really?
his words. Those were the words he used.
Interesting.
The greatest song ever written. So the album was inspired by Wilson, because of the Beatles Rubber Soul album, how like there was no filler tracks in the record, and he thought that that was really, really cool. A lot of people think that, you know, like that he was pretty much God, I can't even think right now. Let me think.
It's all good. Coming off of that work.
Yeah.
Like, oh boy.
Like,
it's bad withdrawal.
a lot of people think that that he was, you know, like inspired by the Beatles, but it really wasn't like the music per se. It was just the way that record came out.
Yeah,
So
the
like,
idea of the whole record.
and so he wanted to kind of second that, and really in turn, you know, the Beatles ended up getting inspired by this
Wilson,
album.
yeah.
Yeah, they
And-
flip-flopped off each other.
yeah, and so like there's a lot of respect, I guess, between the two of them. You know, especially Wilson. He loved the Beatles. So, and there's some really cool things like when it comes down to like you hear like back in the USSR. I mean, it sounds like a fucking Beach Boys. tune.
Yes, absolutely.
So I mean, there's let's see, there isn't a whole lot. It's just a great record to listen to. It's also good to sleep to. I like to chill, like get home and listen to it. But
Oh, yeah.
those songs really good. It ranked 10th in the UK and on the billboards, and then was ranked ranked 10 in the US and ranked second in the UK.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I mean,
Usually the numbers are the exact opposite.
yeah, way different.
it was definitely well received in the music community. Lots of people like within the music community in the United States and in the United Kingdom, they really liked the album, but it never made it to gold until like 30 years later.
It's crazy.
It was
yeah.
never a gold record. It was not like a huge record, but everyone looks at it as probably one of the greatest, albums of all time.
Yeah.
Particularly the concept album, which this was one of the first, if not the first, concept album, and really paved the way for plenty of concept albums to come.
Yeah, this album has really developed a cult following over the years.
Absolutely.
It's pretty cool.
You said it almost took him a year to record all of it.
All of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to say about this album. Is like you had said, the genius of Brian Wilson.
Yeah.
And the guy was a genius, but I almost look at it as the madness of Brian Wilson.
I mean, you look at it either way. I mean, that's why I asked just to reconfirm that it took about almost a year,
Right.
but
Yeah.
it shows on
Oh
the
yeah,
album.
it totally does. There's no real flaws in that album. You know, it's
Yeah.
like people have parodied the madness of Brian Wilson from this album multiple times. Most notably in Walk Hard, John C. Reilly, yeah.
He's going crazy in the, in the thing.
An army of didgeridoo.
Didgeridoo.
The goat.
Brian Wilson just asked for like a platoon of didgeridoo.
How loud
whoa,
that
whoa.
sounds.
Exaggerated
Awesome.
little.
Big thing about this record and the band themselves were not really too cool with the album.
Yeah.
And the music that was
They're
coming
kinda
out of it.
pissed
They were a little
off.
bit upset that it wasn't to the formula of, beach rock and
Yeah.
fast cars and
But
shit.
wasn't it kind of like, I think last time I remember you saying that it was like Brian Wilson's first kind of solo thing. It was his thing. His baby.
That was pretty much what the band said when they came back from Hawaii and Japan.
Oh,
where
the band
the
said
band
that.
was pretty much just like, well, I mean, it wasn't the Wilson brothers, especially Dennis, who had Brian's back the whole way, throughout his entire life, he backed Brian. And it's, if you ever do watch the movie, you see, you see him talk about like, my brother died 2 years ago and it really messed him up. Like he was bedridden after his brother Brian passed away. And that was the big kind of, he went crazy again, after he was already crazy from all the psychedelic drugs and partying and stuff that he was doing in the 60s and 70s. Like, the 80s come around and he's just a mess, So,
I have a question. Do you know which one was the oldest Wilson brother? Was Brian the oldest?
I don't really know that. Actually,
I have no
offhand,
idea.
I do not
I was gonna say
know.
we're all looking at each
Do
other.
we have
it's like,
technology
I don't
or
know.
something?
I mean, I would
Let
like
me
to
make myself useful and I'll find
Yeah,
out.
Christian's on it.
Yeah, yeah. No, if I'm gonna wager anything, I would think that that Brian would be the oldest, if not Dennis. I think the
Yeah, I
youngest
almost want to
was.
say Dennis because he seems like the cool older.
Yeah, he's definitely my favorite
Yeah.
of them all, and like the persona of like he doesn't really like musically bring like much to it. He's a drummer, right? But his ties with the Manson family and everything, that's a whole nother story, and it's really, really cool to hear about, him beating the fuck out of Charlie Manson.
Yeah.
Can you
You got to
elaborate
say
on that?
making
a
him
little
cry.
more?
Yeah, I was about to say, actually, let's elaborate.
I don't think
even-
all our listeners know that even Charles Manson had anything to do with the Beach Boys.
Right. Well, yeah. I guess it was the early '70s. Dennis was driving home from I think it was like somewhere in Nevada or Arizona or some shit like that. And he was heading back to California, and these two hitchhikers are on the they're on the side of the road or something. He passes them. Well, anyways, he's going back and he sees these two girls, these same girls. One of which is the notorious killer. Like, she's the one that was there. I forgot her name.
Wasn't like Patty something? I don't know.
I don't remember her name. I
She-
don't really
that bitch
give a
was
shit
crazy.
about those bitches or Charles Manson. I mean, but anyways,
When
like,
it comes to the Beach Boys, though.
yeah. Well, the funny thing is he ends up taking them to Manson's house, and they end up coming to Wilson's house.
Oh, wow.
So
They had the Manson family.
So
over
the
for
Manson
dinner.
family ends up pretty much all these chicks, and he was stunned when he met like Charles Manson, because this guy's like surrounded by babes, and like he's just like, man, you're super cool, dude,
If they
like,
only
Yeah, he
knew.
was.
He's just like, I don't get it.
yeah, man, like you're awesome. So they end up staying at his house. He ends up paying for like all of their like drugs, their cars, their penicillin for the gonorrhea
Dennis
they were
Wilson.
getting.
He was paying for all this.
Yeah, Dennis Wilson. Yeah. He's paying for all this stuff, and they're trashing his house. Anyways, they end up, and if someone could actually like look this up, but they end up taking one of his songs because Manson was a songwriter, and it wasn't a great one, but the Beach Boys thought so. He did have a couple good songs, but the Beach Boys took one of his songs, renamed it, and broadcasted it live on television, and it pissed Manson off thoroughly. So
He wanted his
Fucking
royalties.
that.
I was picturing him in
so-
jail
Paid.
like Yosemite
Just
Sam.
the guy to piss off.
So anyways, Dennis comes home one day.
Do you feel blame? Are you mad? Do you feel like Wolf's kebabs right French? Get French, get a remix, get
Newell Emmons is an ex-con.
That is
Charles Manson.
That's Charles
Is that one of the
Manson
lyrics in the
reacting
song?
to the Beach Boys taking his.
Anyways, this is the good part though. This is the good part. At the very end, he comes home, Dennis Wilson, to his mansion with all of these crazy cult followers and Charles Manson. And Manson's outside in the driveway. And he gets out of the car, and they're like, "Hey, how's it going?" And Manson shows him. He goes into his pocket, picks out a bullet, and shows it to Dennis Wilson. And Dennis goes, "What's that?" And he said, "Pretty much, you should be thankful that your family, your wife and children are living and alive." And that's when Dennis just beat the shit out of him. Just, beat his ass. Like,
Jesus.
had to be pulled off of him and beat him to the point where Manson was crying. Like, like that's how bad it was. And that's when Dennis ended up leaving the mansion. He ended up getting another place or whatever and left those crazy assholes
Thank
there.
God he did.
Well, in a way, he can somewhat be blamed for him meeting Charles Manson meeting his victims.
Yeah.
And the song that Charles Manson wrote that the Beach Boys used was called "Never Learn Not to Love." That's the name of the song.
That's the Beach
Never
Boys
learned
title.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was actually a different
Oh, it's a
title.
different title?
Yeah. But that is the song title. Yeah,
What
it's
was
a
the Manson
psychedelic song. But besides that, back to Pet Sounds. Great record. Highly recommend people listen to it, especially if you like the Beach Boys.
Oh yeah, but I did find out who the oldest is, and let me look that up again. There's three of them. I remember that Brian, without a doubt, is the oldest one. Then it was like 2 years apart after that with the other two.
Oh, okay, cool deal.
It's funny to hear this because the Beach Boys to me growing up like squeaky clean, right? And then you find out the secret life of the Beach Boys, like
Charles Manson, drugs and bullets.
true Hollywood story, Beach Boys.
Pet Sounds, dun, dun, behind the music. Yeah, because it is like Pet Sounds is really one of the highest regarded albums of all time.
Yeah.
You ask any sound engineer, he's gonna be like, Pet Sound. There's probably a freaking class taught on Pet Sounds.
I mean, not even just the engineers, but I mean, just the songwriting in itself and the I guess shit, I forgot my words. The intricacy of the music itself.
Yeah, how
the
much
whole wall
they
of
were-
sound, the
Yeah.
Phil Spector kind of thought process on making
Fill it.
filling
Yeah.
it up with all sorts of different sounds. I mean, there's so many different sounds, and a lot of these musicians that were involved in the making of this album played with Phil Spector, Elvis, Sinatra, and various other big names of
Yeah.
the time. And they actually really, really loved working with Brian Wilson more than any of the other like people they've ever worked with, because it was new stuff. They were doing different things. They were experimenting with different things. It was, there's so many different sound effects. A train goes by, dogs barking, like messing with all these different sound
plucking
effects.
piano strings.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
a
yeah.
lot going
There's so
on.
much, and I feel like that's where people took that. Musicians took that and ran with it throughout the remainder of the 60s and into the 70s. So.
Do we know where they got the name Pet Sounds from? Like for the album, or was it just like random?
that is interesting. I don't know that. I think they had a different title, and I don't remember what it was, but they ended up going with Pet Sounds instead. So.
Okay.
Nice.
That's a question best left to Brian Wilson.
Yeah, but I guess with that, we're time traveling, man.
All right, zippity doo dah.
All right, going over to me to good old 1974.
That's his
And-
1974 thing.
But I'm doing Bad Company, their first self-titled debut album. It was released June 26, 1974. It was recorded in November of 73. It was recorded pretty fast, actually. They did it at Headley Grange.
Oh.
And it was recorded in Ronnie Lane's mobile studio that he had built. He did some really good remaster recordings they did. Like some later re-recordings of like the faces and stuff.
Ronnie Lane's the shit, by the
Yeah,
way.
Headley
People don't know.
Grange. Is that in?
That's Zeppelin. That's,
Yeah,
song,
and all
right?
that.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then that's what I remember that when I was talking about
Yeah.
the other album.
But yeah, they recorded this in Ronnie Lane's famous, like, it was pretty much a Airstreamer, like, mobile home. you know?
Cool.
It was decked out with recording gear and stuff like that. But yeah, they did it under Swan Song Records, which is a record label Led Zeppelin invented in the U.S. back in May of '74. So they actually, let's see, the album came out in June, but they did it in November '73. So like they were recording this, and they weren't even on Zeppelin's record label till like, I don't know, maybe a few months before the album actually came out. But yeah, it was engineered by Ron Nevison. I couldn't really find anything on this guy. I was looking, not a lot of notable engineers or mixers or anything on this. The band didn't produce it themselves, obviously. But yeah, pretty much before this album came out, Paul Rogers and the drummer from his band Free, they did that song All Right Now.
Yeah.
They had disbanded, and Paul Rogers started jamming with the guitar player from Mott the Hoople, Mick Ralphs, and they started writing stuff together. So they were like, "Dude, let's form a band." So they picked up Boz Burrell. He was the bassist for King Crimson.
Hey, yeah, King Crimson. I think
You're looking at me like I know what that is.
Yeah.
King
They're
Crimson.
really
Like
cool band.
your mom actually mentioned that to us. They're kind of Floydy.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah,
They
they-
look like
yeah.
they had some psychedelic stuff
They
on
have
YouTube.
a psychedelic way about them. They're really good.
Yeah.
They're different. They're
I just-
abstract.
Yeah, I
but
just heard about him years ago, and like I checked him out. I was like, it's okay.
my teacher, my ninth grade teacher, not to get off topic, we're talking about Bad Company, but he used to play music like really loud in homeroom, right? And I heard King Crimson, and I was like, dude, I need that. And he just gave me a burned CD of it. He used to give me burned CDs
right
all the
on.
time. But yeah, they're really far out. But anyways,
I'll
keep
have
going.
to check them out. I didn't even listen to them earlier. Because the only reason I really looked them up is because I got them confused with this band King's Harvest. I thought that was them. I thought that would have been neat, but he wasn't from that band. So anyways, yeah, Paul Rogers and the guitar player, they picked him up, and then they went back to Simon Kirke, the drummer for Free, and then they got him in it.
Cool.
And Bad Company just started rolling. And then Paul Rogers, he brought in the Led Zeppelin's producer. I don't know how he met him. I heard stories that, like, they had Led Zeppelin had seen Bad Company play or something, and that's when they wanted to get them. I don't know. Either way, though, they were opening for Zeppelin and shit not too long after. Once they got in with.
I was like, who started that story? Was it Paul Rogers?
No, I
Like,
heard it
Led
on,
Zeppelin just saw us playing, and they were like, hey, let's sign these guys.
No, that was just one of those little gems you'll hear Alice Cooper talking about on the radio or some shit.
Oh, right on.
You know.
96.9.
Yeah. But yeah, when they first got together and came up with their name, the record label hated it. They thought Bad Company was gonna be bad, and plenty of people were talking shit about them. Keith Moon is famous for talking shit about every band that became successful. Talks shit about Zeppelin. He talks shit about Bad Company.
Talk shit about the Who.
Yeah, and like Paul Rogers at this point was tired of like record labels trying to change who they were, because they thought they did the same thing with Free. Like Island Records, I believe, from the UK, they wanted to change Free's name to the Heavy Metal Kids.
What?
Is,
That's lame.
I mean, that just shows you record companies don't know shit. Like, they just want to think of a name that's going to sell or something.
They know
you listen
enough
to-
to make money.
I was saying, if you listen to All Right Now, that's not heavy metal.
Yeah, not at
No, it
all.
No.
But yeah, so they were like, no, fuck that. We're calling it Bad Company, and that's going to be our self-titled debut. So,
Badass.
yeah. So,
Stuck to their guns.
yeah, they stuck to their guns. They're like, all right, so let's record. So pretty much they set up recording time to record in the mobile home at Headley Grange. But they were delayed like 2 weeks. Like Zeppelin had it all set up, but for some reason recording was delayed. So like a few days later, they say, well, we can get you guys in there real quick, but you'll probably only be able to lay down a couple tracks. So being an awesome 70s band, they went in and cut the whole fucking record within the time span they have.
Wow.
And it didn't have a time frame, but it was all within November. Like, they went in and cut that shit like really quick.
That's
Went in
magical.
there, they meant business, and they were
Yep.
gonna rock
They
out.
got it done, man.
Bad
Straight
Company.
in.
Bad. Oh, they were good. They were great company actually. All that work they put in that stuff,
Yeah.
man.
Born with a 6-gun in their hands. Or a shotgun, depends on who you ask.
Yeah, and if that person's a shotgun, they have a shitty taste in music, because Five Finger Death Punch sucks ass.
Shots fired.
Yep. But yeah, Rogers was saying that they got a lot of their musical inspiration. I was kind of surprised by this, but from Jimi Hendrix, Cream, and this, I'm quoting him, to a certain extent, the Beatles. So that means they kind of like the Beatles, but they weren't trying to rip them off
I can
too
hear the
much.
Cream a little
Right.
bit, but like the Jimmy and the Beatles kind of.
Yeah, I think that more so probably came from their guitar player. I don't know. They just
Yeah,
that was the
probably.
music they really liked. Like, those were like their top 3 bands that
Interesting.
made them want to play.
Yeah, it's not all. It's like you don't always play what inspired you. You know, It's
Right.
like,
It creates new stuff.
yeah,
new
like a lot of
sounds.
folk music and stuff I've listened to has been like, wow, I want to write something now, but then it hasn't turned out folkish.
Right.
Turns out country.
Yeah.
But yeah, their guitar player, he's cited as saying too that most of the time, you know, at rehearsals and shit, they would usually just play cover songs of like soul and blues songs that they really liked. He said his favorite guitarist was always Steve Cropper. He's from Booker T and the MGs.
Okay.
Everybody knows that song, Green Onions,
Yeah.
from the Sandlot. Yeah. And he said basically what they were going for was the MGs with Otis Redding singing.
Hey.
So they got as close as they could to a white guy with Paul Rogers, who is very soulful. And me and Kyle, we actually saw them back in like what 2000.
11.
Yeah, 2011
It
at
was
the Outlaw
awesome.
Jam, and they were getting it, man. Like Paul Rogers, to this day, he still sounds like he did on vinyl back in '74
And he's a
for this
fucking
album.
awesome front man,
Yeah,
dude. My
one
God.
of the greatest.
Wasn't Paul Rogers for a while singing for
Queen.
Queen?
Yeah, he
that's
still
what
does,
that's.
I
Oh,
think.
Queen is one of my
Sometimes,
bands. So
right.
then I was like, who's this? This guy's not gonna do. He's from Bad Company. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
Never mind. And then he
he's-
started singing. I was like, oh,
He held his
Yeah,
own.
yeah.
Definitely.
In certain songs, I don't know. I kind of beg to differ. In
I mean,
certain
for
songs, but
like
I mean,
Qu-
for yeah.
For Queen, like
Yeah.
some of them act like for Bad Company, he's awesome. But for like Queen, it's like no one can replicate,
Yeah, it's really
Freddie,
yeah.
but still.
That's
It was-
like
it was-
AC/DC getting Axl Rose to sing the lead for them.
That's me vomiting.
Insert puke sound effect here. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I got for this album.
Just thinking about it, that's pretty badass album. Just to think
yeah.
about Guns N' Roses and AC/DC, like Axl Rose playing for AC/DC now. The song "Whole Lot of Rosie" kind of has a new meaning. It's like Axl Rose. Okay, I'll file it.
That was bad.
Yeah, it's like
That was very bad.
I
Where are the
liked
crickets?
it.
hey, worst comes to worst, I'll end up on a cringe compilation on YouTube.
Oh yeah, and this album it reached #1 in the U.S., #3 in the U.K. because they're a bunch of picky bastards. Of
course.
They don't know anything good when they see it.
Except for Pet Sounds.
Yeah,
And
except
and
Pet
that
Sounds.
that was two because they were American.
Yeah, they got it right once.
The singles "Can't Get Enough Your Love," "Moving On," and of course "Bad Company." It's like their best song, one of their best. It's just badass.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's
Good
all
album.
for me,
Nice.
man.
Bad Company. That's cool. I didn't know Paul Rogers actually sang for free. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, dude.
Whenever I hear
dude.
"All Right Now," I was like, man, these guys are probably really good, but I
They
don't
sound
know
like Bad Company.
No, I'm not that smart. I was like, man, I always like that song. I was like, man, these guys probably are like living in a trailer off in fucking Idaho or some shit. And it's like, no, actually, Paul Rogers is still on stage playing, and he had a really successful career and shit.
Yeah, man.
When
Still
he,
sounds the
dude,
same,
when he left the band for a little bit, and they had some other douche singing like his
Yeah,
songs,
that's
and
right.
it was terrible. I remember watching it at Cody's house back like, God, it was like 2009, 2010 before like they started playing together again, and dude, it was terrible watching.
Yeah,
that
I
shit.
was like, I came across that when I was doing my research for this album, just reading about it, and I was like, no, this is not like podcast worthy at all.
Oh my bad, I didn't mean to bring that up. I was just
This
saying,
is important.
it was just fucking
No, like,
disturbing, dude.
I just didn't write notes on it.
Not noteworthy.
Yeah.
Podcast worthy, but not noteworthy.
Yeah, exactly.
Not gonna waste
what
my
I meant.
paper on this.
So we're time traveling over to Ian now.
Yep.
Ian's got the next.
What year? 70,
7.
77.
Yeah, released in February 1977 in the U.S. and it was the March 1977 in the U.K. I'm doing Marquee Moon by Television. Yeah, we might get into the segment now between Chris and I of groups that, well, I mean, we're all music heads here, so I mean, we've heard of most of them, but I mean, maybe some people might not have heard of them.
I've never heard of this
Yeah,
band.
same here. This is over my head, whoosh, past the mountains.
Television wasn't really like, I don't know. Go on, Ian.
I'll go from there. Yeah, they weren't really extremely well known. It's like they had maybe one or two albums. Their first two albums were fantastic. Granted, the second one came out with mixed reviews, but they are quote unquote a punk band from New York.
heavy quotes with the
Oh, I
fingers.
like that already.
It's extreme heavy quotes.
Yeah.
Punk music.
By punk, he means not punk music.
Yeah,
but
pretty-
because they played it where?
So they had a standing spot at CBGB.
Yeah.
Or CBGBs for the longest time, and I mean, you hear that and you kind of associate it with punk music.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that's why people consider them punk, just because they played at CBGB's.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
It's funny
I
because
don't think that because the Talking Heads played there too.
Exactly.
Right.
That's all
So
I'm
you don't
saying,
call
right?
them punk, right?
Yeah, well-
So did Blondie.
Yeah,
hey,
you
think
know.
about this too, though. Like not related to CBGBs, but just in relation to certain bands, like being thrown that label. AC/DC was called a punk band, and they're like, what the fuck
Yeah,
you.
man. It's like-
Only because they were
What is
playing
punk?
with punks at the time.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. I mean, but they're not, musically.
It's like
But-
people call
Yeah.
Led Zeppelin heavy metal. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's rock and roll, man.
Jethro Tull.
Yeah, right. Like,
That's a perfect
Give
example.
me a break.
Yeah, I brought that one up.
one of the funniest little things that because like I researched the AC/DC album a while ago, and I did come across that like the punk thing, and Angus Young had a funny little quote. He said to, I think it was Guitar World magazine, he said, when we first showed up, they booked us with a bunch of punk bands. But it's like, we're obviously not punk, because you could tell by the way the audience would spit on us, but we'd spit back.
Yeah.
Just like hocking a loogie on your audience.
But anyways, like I said, they were classified as a punk band. They're not really a punk band at all. I mean, some of the reviews that I read were a mix between punk and progressive rock.
I can dig the
I
progressive
can get
rock.
I can get behind progressive rock right there. Chris knows I love progressive
Prog
rock.
rock. That's
But
good.
like basically like the beginnings of it, which I mean, even now when I listen to it, when I listen to the album today, I hear like they could fit in with a classic rock feel kind of thing, or I mean, maybe even a little bit more modern. I mean, when I first heard them, I thought they were modern, but I was terribly wrong when I looked it up. And this album was released in 1977.
Don't you hate that? Like, you think you're hearing a modern band, it's like, oh, I'd like to go to one of their concerts. And
Yeah,
They're all dead. They've all been dead for 7 years.
it's like stuff that you've never heard before,
Right.
And then you hear it for the first time, and you're like, "Ooh, what is that?" And it's like, "Is this new?" And you look it up, and like, they're all dead. All right,
fuck my life.
Well,
but
that's one more I won't see.
yeah, the group was they recorded the album in September of 1976. The whole backstory with this being their first album, they declined when they first started. They declined a bunch of major record labels. I mean, a whole bunch. Wow. Yeah, and the thing was that Verlaine, the frontman of the band, he wanted to produce their first album. So no engineering history, no producing history at all. Wanted to produce their first album. They were basically looking for a label who could give them something to do that. And I guess they had recorded a few demos with another label. I didn't really write it down because I didn't really care about it, to be honest. But I mean, they were saying that the sound that the guy gave them was just, it wasn't them. It wasn't warm enough. And if you actually listen to the album, and it's fantastic. I mean, I guess you guys caught a glimpse of the title track, Marquee Moon, in the car with Chris, and it's not really punk at all. It's
Not at all.
Just in his voice, I think that's the, if anything, punk part.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and it's definitely different. And I mean, it's fantastic. But they eventually signed with Elektra Records in August of 1976. So they signed in August 1976. Next month, went into recording, and the deal there was Verlaine got to produce their first album, but he had to have some sort of notable engineer there to help with producing the record essentially. And so who they ended up with was Andy Johns. Andy Johns is I want to say the younger brother of Glenn Johns.
Who is that?
He's another famous producer. He's worked with Led Zeppelin a couple times, and but he did a lot of talking about Glenn Johns now. Glenn Johns did a lot of stuff with Eddie Kramer.
Okay.
Yeah, and I guess you could almost say Glenn Johns learned a lot of his stuff from Eddie Kramer.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
neat.
And Kevin Bacon fits in where?
I know, I was like going 4 steps off or 3 steps off or whatever. But I mean,
Definitely do it with this cast, man.
yeah, with Andy Johns, I mean, he's credited as the co-producer of the album. He was chosen because he had worked on the Rolling Stones album Goat's Head Soup.
Goat's Head Soup.
I don't think I've ever heard of that Stones album, man.
I
Sounds
had
nasty.
never heard of that album either.
Wow.
And but yeah, Andy Johns, eventually would go on. He worked with Led Zeppelin, Jethro Tull, Rolling Stones, Eric Clapton. He's got a much longer list, but I was just naming some notable ones out there. His older brother had done a lot more, working with some of the same people, along with the Beatles and the Clash and a whole bunch of other ones. But yeah. So basically, the album is produced by Verlaine, by their frontman, along with Andy Johns, who was their co-producer or whatnot.
Do you know how long they were looking for a label to let them do that?
I mean,
I imagine it was probably a long time if they turned down some major record labels.
I mean, that's what they said. That's what
Yeah.
I read, and it didn't list all of them.
Right.
But I mean, it just obviously it was in the plural form.
Yeah,
So
I
I mean,
imagine it took a pretty long time.
yeah, and that's kind of wild too, because I mean, any of us, I mean, I don't know if a major record label, said, "Here, what do you think of this?" I might have been like, Okay, yeah, that sounds fantastic. But I mean, they were pretty dead set on wanting to really get their own sound out there and it be a representation of them.
That's cool. Well, that's cool. They didn't sell out. They fucking held.
Yeah.
They stuck to their guns.
Yep. That's magical to hear.
Yeah.
But it was recorded at A&R Recording in New York. Some of the acts that had played there: Elton John, Madonna, Billy Joel, the band.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. I thought this was pretty wild. This kind of, it puts me to shame when I think about this because, I mean, if I ever record anything, I kind of just go in and do it. Mm-hmm. But and to prepare for this, the band rehearsed anywhere between 4 to 6 hours up to 7 days a week. So they were rehearsing every day, 6 hours to do it, blah, blah, blah. The other cool thing, actually, their recording process in this is pretty wild because it's not really heard of much now. So, like, for most of the album, they were recorded live. Mm-hmm. So, as a group, recorded live. And even a few of the songs were recorded in one take.
That's
What?
awesome.
Including Marquee Moon.
That was one fucking take.
Yeah.
Damn.
That song's like 10 minutes long. Like,
Yeah.
jeez, one fucking take on a 10-minute song.
Yeah.
And it was live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it a three-piece?
Crazy.
Is it a three-piece band, right?
4, I believe. Yeah, 4.
Jeez.
Yeah. And what was it? They
That's a good track, too. They just played that on the radio the other night.
The
That
producer
was-
wanted to do do it again because I believe the other guitar player was like, he thought it was just a rehearsal. He thought it was when they were playing. He just thought it was rehearsal, and Verlaine shut that down and was like, "No, it's fine." So when you
That's good news.
yeah. So when you listen to the recording, it's one take.
Wow.
It's a 10-minute song done in one take, and it sounds fantastic.
Wow, that blows my damn mind.
The other cool thing about this is that both the guitars were recorded in multi-track to the left and right channels. That's if you're facing speakers, your left ear and your right ear. And the guitars were left uncompressed and without any studio effects. So the guitars that you're hearing are the guitars themselves. It's, there's nothing fancy done to them to make them sound, shiny and fantastical or anything like that.
It's very crisp.
Yeah.
When you hear everything, it's like, damn.
Yeah. Good sounding
And
equipment.
hardly any work went into it. That's like the musicians.
Yeah.
It seems like they had already earned their chops at that point if they could bust out that many songs in one take.
Why didn't they make it? That's the thing. I was like, why aren't they a huge deal? Why aren't they like?
Well, I mean,
Because they stuck to their guns.
the thing
Didn't
was
suck
was
the
that
devil's dick.
one of the quotes that I read was from the group was that they had rehearsed so much because they wanted to produce a good album.
Right.
They wanted to make it as clean as possible, and I mean, it definitely shows. It's funny because later on, sometime after they recorded the album and it released, I mean, it's like 20, 30 years later, Verlaine thought that it was mostly a pop album. Yeah, cause going back to the mix between punk and progressive rock and things like that. He thought it sounded like a pop album.
Wow.
Yeah. They got their playing styles from what they said. The playing drew from 1960s rock and avant-garde jazz styles, drifting away from layered power chords that were, more in the punk style towards more melodic lines and counter melodies. Which, if you listen to Marquee Moon, yeah. But one of the other things was that it's a lot of, I guess, the reviews and stuff like that thought it was a concept album, even though it's not. It makes a lot of reference to geological or geographical places in Lower Manhattan, but it's not a concept album. And I mean, that's basically all that I've got. Other than the two singles, Marquee Moon and Prove It, both charted in the UK's top 30. Didn't really do so well in the US at all.
What?
And it reached 28 in the UK and 23 in Sweden. So I mean,
Hey,
yeah.
Sweden!
Yeah, but I mean, like,
They're not
you,
Swedish, Mac. They're Norwegian.
but yeah, you
Damn it,
listen
Mac.
to the album now and it's fantastic, and it really does make me wonder why they didn't do so well in the States. I mean, if it makes me feel that if they came out like now, they might do a little bit better.
Absolutely. I'd buy an album.
I still plan on buying the album.
I really want to get Marquee Moon.
Hopefully you can purely just find it.
Hopefully,
I
you
don't-
get your fine.
I don't know.
It's not a huge deal, you know.
Yeah.
So like, not a lot of people know. So it's like it is totally plausible somebody just gets rid of it.
If I were to find it, though, I would hope I would find the UK release. The UK release was released on red vinyl.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, the Velvet?
Yeah.
Like Velvet? Yeah, that shit's
So
awesome.
if anybody finds it,
Give
and
us a
it's-
call.
and it's red, yeah.
Give us a call here at Pure Finds. 1-800. Go fuck yourself.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure you
1-800
could
fuck
probably
off, I'm
find
eating.
those like records on eBay or like some sort of like internet shop.
It doesn't feel right, though.
What, buying a record on eBay?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but if you're looking for something a little bit more abstract, you're not gonna find it anywhere else but online. Yeah.
I always hope for that possibility, you know. Whereas, like, if I was trying to finish my Beatles collection, you know, I might.
You feel like you're cheating yourself
Yeah.
by buying it on.
Yeah.
It's the thrill of the hunt, man. You go
Yeah.
out there and you want to find it with your own eyes and hands. And
Pokemon
taste the
Go.
victory, right? Because if you go online,
except
just order
Vinyl
just
Go.
fatty.
Final go.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel the same. Yeah.
No,
When
it
you
It's
doesn't.
I do get what you're saying though.
No,
Like,
yeah. Like there's vinyls that I want to buy. Like there's a band called Pato, which maybe we'll talk about
We've talked
them.
about them before.
Okay, yeah. Like I can't and will not be able to find.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe somewhere, go to friggin'
Really hard
Michigan
to find.
or something, and
Yeah.
I'll find it in a record shop. But
I've been keeping an eye out for Monkey's Bum.
yeah.
I've
That
really
would be
been
the
looking.
I want
If I
to
get it,
roll
it's
them,
going to
smoke
you.
them, and put another line out. It's a badass
Yeah.
record, but I can't find it anywhere else but online.
They're so hard to find. I think the only way you can walk into a store and find them is if you're in a record store in like fucking England.
Yeah, and it's
Right.
one of those things where it's like wouldn't. It'd be really super nice to find like an original issue, nothing reissued or anything like that. And that's
Sure.
my only concern with shopping online and not really trusting
Yeah.
anybody.
Yeah.
Is that you're gonna try to sell me something for $180 and you say it's an original? Why does it look in such good shape, kind of thing?
I go to the same thing, like with comic books. Chris knows I love
Yeah.
my comic books, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the exact same thing. I wish he would make up like a grade system for records and album. You can certify them and stuff, and have like authenticity to them.
Yeah.
I think there's a place like you can send it in, and then they'll send you back like your
Or
authentic
appraisal or whatever.
Even
Yeah.
then, I wouldn't trust it.
Yeah, it's
I,
like,
I
You send
work.
it in,
especially if it's something you
it's,
want.
it's good, and they just give you a recopy. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool.
Either that or they give it back to you, and then so there's just like a coffee stain all over the front. Like,
Not
sorry,
only that,
Jim
but it's like
spilled his
I
coffee.
work in the shipping business and I know what USPS and all of them. Not saying that they're horrible, but
No, they are. USPS sucks. Didn't used to back in our parents' and our grandparents' era. Like, wasn't a bad thing, but the United States Postal Service is shit.
I've seen
So is
what some of us
FedEx.
our shipping providers have done to packages, and it doesn't look very pretty at all, unless it has a big Amazon stamp on the front of it. Anyways, we are time traveling.
Sponsor, please.
We are time traveling
USPS.
over to Chris, and he's gonna do some more rocking stuff as he tries to talk on his baby mic stand.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
And
get
on his
I'm just-
knees.
Yeah, right. Ain't the first time. Times are hard, damn it. No, like I'll give everybody at home a good picture right now. Besides me on my knees,
It's not a pretty
we're-
picture.
with the 5 guys doing the podcast.
Burgers and fries.
We had to move from the bastard kitchen to the bastard living room. Sadly, in the bastard living room, there's limited seating, and I bought a tiny mic stand because I thought I'd be at a table. So I've been sitting on the floor. It's not that comfy, and I hope I'm
Ian's getting a
emceeing
kick out of
okay
it.
on this thing.
Do you feel like you're doing like a live show?
A little bit. Right. Well, let me cup
just
the
take
mic.
out of the stand if you're gonna hold it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna hold
There
it
you
because
go.
like
You're actually.
give me-
I'm
give me
tired
that.
of this shit.
Now
It's revolution, I'm standing
now it's
up.
stand up.
Yeah, here, give me this so I can throw that away.
Box seats.
No, do not throw that away. That cost me $20.
You could have bought a regular mic stand
All
for
right.
$20.
It was 31. I was really excited about saving that $10. Okay, so
And you're paying for it now.
yeah, right. Seriously, just like my knees and my hands from sitting side saddle style on the hardwood floors.
Chris is giving a presentation to us.
I feel like it too. I'm standing up now
Where's
because
the
it's like
PowerPoint?
fuck that. I need to stretch my damn legs. Whew, didn't last. Yep. Well, so we were time traveling all the way to my album, 1986. I decided to do the Bad Brains or they're just Bad Brains, Eye Against Eye. It's a really great album. It was their third studio album. The band originally formed in 1977 in D.C. as a jazz group. And if you know Bad Brains...
What went wrong?
Yeah, exactly. If you know Bad Brains, they are hardcore punk, fast-talking, crazy. They're all really great musicians. That's how you can tell. Like, it's believable that they were in jazz before. You got 4 guys in the group. You got HR, which could stand for Human Rights. That's what I believe everybody's been saying. Dr. No on guitar, fantastic guitarist. They kind of sound like his guitar style kind of sounds like Living Colour. If you ever heard Cult of Person Bear. He's so crazy on that instrument. Daryl Jennifer on bass, and you also got Earl Hudson on drums. And Earl Hudson is actually the younger brother of the singer HR.
Nice.
So hold on real quickly. So we have HR.
HR Puff and stuff.
Okay, Doctor. You said Dr. Love.
Dr. No.
Dr. No. Okay, and the other 2 guys just went by their regular names.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would have come up with like a better name, like escape artist or something. It's like, hi, my name is Daryl.
Escape artist.
Hi.
I guess Daryl Jennifer sounds edgy enough.
Yeah. There wasn't too much
Good for
crazy.
jazz, but not
Yeah.
so much for punk.
Yeah.
I also do want to mention, just because with that, on Vokes, Rick Anderson has said this about HR, and I totally agreed when I read this. Rick Anderson wrote on AllMusic that HR digs deep into his bag of voices and pulls them all out, one by one. The frightening nasal falsetto that was his signature in the band's hardcore days, an almost bel canto baritone? Is that right?
Yeah.
Bel canto baritone. And a declamatory speed rap chatter that spews lyrics with the mechanical precision of a machine gun.
Fucking mouthful.
Yeah,
Was he writing for Rolling Stone? Or what was that?
possibly. No, that's
what
what
he
he
was
that's what he
trying
wrote
to
about
get
the
into
singer.
Rolling Stone.
Or
Because-
was he just like writing it in a journal? Like,
And let me feed you the cheesiness so I can get into Rolling Stone.
Yeah, because if you listen to the album before this one, the Bad Brains album, what was it? Rock for Light. Rock for Light. If you listen to that, that is hardcore punk, very fast, just quick chord progressions, just nuts. And then
He
you go
says
to
butter the whole time?
yeah, it's delicious.
They had a boot from the recording session. You can hear in the background. And then, oh, there's a guitar right there.
But Eye Against Eye is a different album because at that time they're a very versatile band. Since the jazz stuff, then they went to hardcore punk because they heard of the Ramones, they've heard of the Sex Pistols, all that punk music. They decided they wanted to do that, so they get into the punk stuff as amazing musicians, and then they turn out their first 2 albums as the punk thing. It was really awesome. They had a few reggae songs in there too, and also on this album, this has like soul songs. This has like heavy metal songs, tough stuff, and thank you. Ian's passing me a chair because he's so polite.
Filler.
this shit right here. Filler.
Filler
Okay.
full of.
The ass is down. I repeat.
I felt odd with the presentation going on, and it was just crank your head and look up. kind of thing.
I thought it probably gave him a little bit more to like.
It made me feel good.
Yeah, feel
Damn
like,
it.
You know, like
For a second, I saw a little bit of
presentation.
Seinfeld.
For a minute, I
there.
felt like people listened.
I had to be the guy to calm that shit down.
So yeah, but
Ian
with
bringing order to the cast.
on this album, Eye Against Eye, like I said, there's all sorts of styles. You got reggae songs, you got some heavy metal stuff, a little bit of soul in there, funk definitely. This album is also in the 1001 albums that you need to hear before you die, that we were talking about last cast.
I might have that book,
Oh, really?
I think.
Dude, look, see if you add it, man. Just check around.
Keep
'Cause
talking.
This is on the list, and he's going to check.
Oh, you were.
Yeah, right. Hey,
The
cool.
thrill of the hunt.
The album was produced by Ron St. Germain. Ron St. Germain. He's also done Sonic Youth, their album Goo, and the album Stained by Living Colour.
Okay.
Yep. Let me see here. Eye Against Eye, the name of the album was actually derived from a Rastafari phrase, which is eye and eye, kind of like you would say me and my friend, or it's like him and I. It's I and I to show like the unity. And this album is I Against I, and that kind of shows in all the titles, like all the tracks, all the music that's in it, because it's so different from part to part. And this is an album you can literally sit it there on the record, put the needle down, and leave it. You're good to go. It's such a bomb ass album. In the middle of all the production stuff, HR actually ended up going to jail for a bit on a drug distribution, pot distribution charge, and he recorded the vocals for the song "Sacred Love" on this album. He recorded it from a jail phone.
What? That's badass.
Yeah, so and it sounds like it. The voice is distorted on there.
That's cool.
You just
man.
think it's a cool effect. When I heard it, I was like, "Oh, that's a cool effect and stuff."
That's
really
legendary.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It was like, and you can hear all the crackling. And I'm surprised you didn't hear somebody like, "Get the fuck off the phone, motherfucker!"
That's what I was waiting for. It's like you got you got a minute to talk to somebody. He was just going. Okay, can you slow that down during recording or production? Let's do that.
But that "Sacred Love" isn't one of those like fast songs. Like I said, this album has so many different ones. Like "Sacred Love" was actually one of the slower kind of like, and I can imagine you sitting in jail on a phone like singing. Somebody's like, "You got a pretty mouth, like, you got a beautiful voice." Dr. No, just listening to all the different guitar work in this, you can tell he's very, very super talented. Again, our friend Rick Anderson, the Golden Word guy, he praised his abilities by saying, his ability to meld the raw directness of hardcore punk with an almost supernatural virtuosity without sacrificing the power of either approach. Like, this dude uses mad words, but I read that. I'm sorry, I read it and I was like, that's the perfect way to describe it, because this album is great. I just got it from this place called McKay's up in Manassas. Everybody out there in the world on internet land, please try to go to McKay's in Manassas, Virginia. It's a really great store. They have vinyls as far as the eye can. Well, maybe not as far as the eye can. They have a great selection,
As far
though.
as the wall goes.
Yeah. No, when you go in, when you go into a record store and you're looking for good records, you go in, you find a lot of Bread, Rod Stewart, maybe some like
Chuck
offhand
Mangione.
Yeah, Chuck Mangione. Just shit. It's like
Pat
you're just
Metheny.
flipping through like don't want. This store McKay's is not like that. You go in and it's like, okay, here are the vinyls. Let's see their record collection. It's like, fuck, that's good. That's pretty good. Fuck, that's good. Fuck, that's pretty good. It just keeps going and going. Boom, and there it is. Ian's brought up the book, and there's I Against I. Is there a whole like a thing in there about it, or what, Ian?
There's a page.
A full page. Hey.
Do they
Could have just
chart
used
them?
that for the cast, bro.
No, they don't.
Oh, okay.
So it's just a mix. It's like as long as you hear them before you die. That's what we talked about last cast. Was like around the end of the cast, we mentioned like songs that you should or albums that you should listen to before you die, and we looked up some of the best selling ones of all time. It was a good time.
That's cool.
Oh, sorry. It's yeah, living room stuff. It was released by SST Records. The number for this record is actually SST 065. It was the 65th album put out by SST. If anybody doesn't know SST, that was started by Greg Ginn in California. It was kind of like the underground punk thing, like recording out of a house and kind of shit.
Like how we do it.
Yeah, recording out of the house, but having a record label.
Nice.
He mainly started. He was in Black Flag, so he mainly
okay.
started it to get Black Flag stuff done. And the Bad Brains hung out with those guys. Henry Rollins has stories for days about hanging out with HR and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, HR is like super Rastafari. I think they all are. I didn't get too far into knowing everybody, but when you hear the guy sing, it's one thing. It's just like, whoa, this guy's powerful. He's got talent. And then when he talks, it's like, he is so fucking chill. He just seems like one of the most interesting guys ever. He sits down. I've watched a few interviews, and he's sitting there like, yeah, man, the Rastafari. We want to go over to Africa and help the people, and da da da. I was like, dude, this dude's from England. HR's from England, London, England. That's where he was born.
He's not a white guy, is he?
No, he's black.
Okay.
Not an interesting fact, but a fact. This is a punk band they're all black guys. there. I said I was trying my best just not to say because I was like, it's not important. It's not. It's not. But that's what did kind of get them popular.
Black Lives Matter, though.
Yeah, around New York and stuff. That's what got them popular. Was like those guys were the black punk band, but they're also very very good, and people loved how fast they would. What's all that then? Audio files. Okay. I think I'm just about done. One more fun fact. It's like we're running up the time here, and we still got one more presentation. I did want to mention one cool thing. I'm a huge fan.
just leave them out.
I'm a huge fan of Degrassi. It's a Canadian high school drama about how hard life is in high school.
Yeah, I bet.
And I Against I is actually one of the titles for one of the episodes because that's what they do for every episode. They have a song title, and I Against I made it on one. If you're wondering, no, I'm not going to go into the episode, but it's season 5, episode 14. Now we're going to time travel to Christian.
0 to 100 real quick.
So speaking of Canadian and Degrassi, my band that I picked today, as everybody knows, is one of my favorite bands, Rush. Yeah. Rush Limbaugh. No, I'm kidding. Rush. So the album I'm doing is actually one of their newer ones that actually came out in 2002 originally, but then got remastered in 2013. It's Vapor Trails. A lot of the Rush community fans know that this song is one of those big comebacks for Rush. So
I've never heard of it.
well,
Vapor
here's the thing.
Trails.
Neil Peart, the drummer, he had a lot of tragedy for like 1 year or so. In '97, his only daughter, passed away in a car accident at the time, and then almost a year later, his wife passed away due to the tragedy and stuff like that. Wow. So
Due to the tragedy.
Yeah, the tragedy. He lost his wife and his daughter. So after that, he did think what was like the most coolest things you could ever do. He ride on his motorcycle and from Canada drove all the way to Alaska, then down to Mexico, all across the United States, 55,000 miles.
Wow.
So he
hell of a
drove.
trip.
Yeah, he drove around
On a motorcycle.
That's badass because it's like he lost his family and he just got on and rode.
So I've watched, and I think Chris has watched this Moving Pictures, the story of Rush.
Yeah.
On their Geddy Lee basis and Alex Lifeson were like, okay, so he got on his bike. We didn't know what was going on. And from month to month, we would just receive random postcards from him saying, hey, I'm here. Hey, Daytona, Miami, Mexico, all that kind of stuff. Mexico City, not Mexico. But no, so this album came out in 2003, 2002, around there. And it was received well, but a lot of people complained it was too loud. Now, I've listened to the original mix of it. It is loud compared to the one that I prefer, the remaster that came out in 2013. And Ian might know this, but the reason people did not like the recording too much of it is because, excuse me here real quickly, they used a, where are you? You were, they use a certain, there is a dynamic range compression. You know what that is?
It's been a while.
So I looked into it a little bit, and I'm sorry, but my brain couldn't handle that much knowledge. But it was, I was scratching my head. But big words smoke out of my head. But
Bobo don't like big words.
it pretty much meant that it makes like some sounds louder and quieter stuff sound quieter. It's confusing, by the way, but they remastered it in 2013, and it sounds so much better. So it took them 14 months to record this once Neil Peart got back. So from 96, when they did, was it Caress of Steel or Permanent Way? One of those albums. The last one, 96, they recorded this one. It was the longest time they ever not recorded an album. And with this album, they also went to Mexico City in Brazil. The first time they ever had concerts over there. Oh, wow. So huge. I don't know if you guys ever see R40 or something like that. It was big back in the day when I used to, like R40, like a huge Brazilian crowd, like the largest they ever seen. So I really like this album a lot because it's an emotional, it has emotional value. And I think any song or band or album that has an emotional value to the band itself, it makes it great. So
you feel it in the music.
You feel it, yeah. There's this song on there called Ghost Rider. And I was a young kid. I was like, oh, Ghost Rider, a Marvel hero, right? So this song's about Neil Peart travels across the country dealing with the loss of his family. Can you imagine that? Like, if I would lose my family, if I would lose any of you guys, I would be, distraught and stuff like that, and maybe getting on a motorcycle or in a car or bicycle in my case, and driving from my house to the Valero.
Phil could do it. Anyone
Life is
could do
hard.
it.
Yeah.
Life is hard. He gets to the Valero.
But, this is going to be different from what you guys talk. Like, you were talking about how they all had like nice compositions with with Cody's band and all that kind of stuff. This is the first time they actually didn't use any synths or keyboards. Geddy Lee is really famous for. Listening to Tom Sawyer. There you go, like that. So they went straight rock and stuff like that. That's cool. And
like Working Man.
Pretty much, just like Working Man.
I love that song. It's my favorite Rush song.
It's a great song too. I don't blame you. But and the way they recorded everything is they had jam sessions. Geddy and Alex had jam sessions, right? And they would actually record those jam sessions, put them onto the computer, and then listen to them, piece them together, track by track by track by track. So they said they spent more time in front of a monitor than
actually playing.
And when I found that out, that actually surprised me. And I'll be honest, bothered me a little bit because these guys are great. They made some great stuff. La Via Strangata, Tom Sawyer, and then they use technology. It doesn't sound bad, but at the same time, it's just like, imagine what they could have done if they didn't have the help of technology. Maybe they needed the help of technology because, they're...
God damn you, Pro Tools.
Pro Tools, yeah, pretty much. Now, the producer of this guy is someone that's somewhat well-known, Paul Northfield. He did a lot of. He did Osmosis.
That was one of the newer things.
Yeah. He doesn't do like. He did Queensryche and
Queensryche.
Yeah, Suicide Tendency. Those guys right there. He did some Dream Theater stuff, which I like.
They're insane.
Yeah, they're talented.
Super talented.
They did do some. Oh my God, who was it? Men Without Hats.
Hey, man, without you can dance if you want to.
Yeah, they did them. So it's really weird seeing. Oh, he did Marilyn Manson's as well, the Hollywood thing.
Cool.
When he first came out, The Beautiful People. So nothing really extravagant there, but I
that's
love
cool.
the album.
So he's been around.
Yeah,
he's done some good stuff.
That's a hell of
Yeah,
list of bands to work.
Yeah,
with.
What was his name? What was his
Paul
name?
Northfield.
Paul Northfield.
Paul Northfield. Yeah, I was like looking up because I'll be honest with you, never have I ever looked into an album like I did with some of these ever since I started listening to the podcast, right? So I'm looking at something like, so that's how they made that. Oh, so this is that. So this is why. Okay, and the puzzle pieces start getting
it
put
all
together.
slowly
and stuff
comes
like
together.
That. Yeah, but I really love the album. I listen to it a lot, when I'm cutting grass actually, and it's just one of those things. I do say though, Geddy Lee's I think this is the album that he sort of started losing his voice. It used to be high pitch, and now it's starting getting a little deeper. And he's trying really hard. I love the guy; they're one of my favorite bands. But
yeah.
Don't tell me he went with went along with what's his name from Van Halen.
David Lee Roth.
That last album was bad.
Tattoo.
His vocals were bad. I hope it doesn't sound anything.
Nothing.
Like
About Van Halen. I'm a Sammy Hagar guy, by the way. So
well, I mean, I like Van Halen
Fuck
too,
you.
but I mean,
Shit's about to go down in this place. About to be WWF up in this.
I'm sorry to hear that you're wrong.
Christian, this is your last guest appearance, bro.
I figured that's why I made it my most.
No, I got a question for you.
that's a great way to get off
You're
the
like a Rush
podcast.
expert. Isn't it true that Neil Peart wrote pretty much like a lot of their songs?
So the original drummer for Rush was John Rutsey. I don't know if you guys remember from that Facebook comment. I said he would be one of the drummers.
Yeah.
He was the original drummer. He had a sickness, diabetes. I forgot what it was. I'm so horrible. But they said you can't come with us because if you're on tour, something's gonna happen. So then they got this guy Neil Peart. Anyway, Neil Peart, big reader, loves books.
This
unlike
guy.
me. Yeah, this guy. And he
dude.
read a lot of he read a lot of Anne Rice stuff. So Geddy Lee hated writing lyrics. And then Alex Lifeson and Geddy Lee were like, oh yeah, if this guy likes to, write lyrics, let him do those stuff. So he's been writing so many lyrics. I mean, a lot of the stuff, their last album, Clockwork Angel, which is actually a great concept album. I've had the book, and I've actually not finished reading it because I'm so lazy. But, he read the book, and all their songs are based off of the character in the book. And it's really, 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 really great album. I really, really love it. But, yeah, I think they're like three rock gods. Chris knows how I feel about this, but they're three rock gods.
Absolutely.
One of the best drummers, one of the best guitarists, and one of the best bassists /
Vocalist.
a vocalist
singers,
slash synth player. I mean, no one plays synth like Geddy Lee. Let's be honest.
Nobody
like you're
does the
saying
laundry like Eddie Lee.
Nobody. That was my phone. I think it broke. But no, I that's and it was, I was thinking between two albums, either that one or Grace Under Pressure, because I found it at a bookstore. I mean, at a store, and I was like, oh, maybe I should do this one. But I really wanted to do this one just because of the impact that Neil Peart had, which is you know, something happens in your life and you make great music.
Yeah, I never knew that he went through that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
and it sucks for him. But imagine driving around at night in the snow.
This shit's poetic.
Yeah,
It's
that's
poetic,
that's a perfect word to use. Poetic. I like that. But there's nothing else I need to say about that. Actually, just that stuff. So, any questions?
I have a question.
You. Why don't you like David Lee Roth?
Yeah,
Well,
really.
David Lee Roth is a pervert, and he tried to sleep with my mother.
Hey, did you
It
ever?
worked.
What?
Hey, baby.
Hey, did you ever
That's
see
a good
the?
story, though.
But hey,
Juicy.
did you ever see the music video of? It's David Lee Roth performing. What is it? Bright Lights? No, wait.
Yankee
No,
Rose?
Yankee Rose.
Yankee
In Spanish. Dude.
Check it on
Rosa
YouTube.
Yankee.
Yeah, Yankee Rose on
Yeah,
in
this
Spanish.
isn't just for
Fucking
Christian. Everybody
awesome.
listen.
This is purely find this on YouTube. It's
Fucking
Yankee
hilarious.
Rose in Spanish. I don't know. Is David Lee Roth actually singing it in Spanish? I don't know.
No.
Probably.
I think
No,
it's
he's
like-
just mouthing the words.
Yeah.
He's got
No, I mean it's the actual video.
Yeah, it's just voice.
But
it's
there's a
overdubbed.
voiceover.
Yeah. It's,
Dude, it's priceless.
Very mariachi-like, I bet.
I think we should listen to it after the cast.
We
It sounds really
absolutely should.
racist, but I can say it in Spanish. Taco, 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 taco. Taco, 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 taco.
Sometimes.
You can sing in Spanish, can't you?
Yeah, I mean, I just have to write down the words. Oh, sorry, write down the words. It's funny because I was literally just thinking. I was like, man, we should do like a Spanish episode. You guys should do one. And I'll just do all the.
voiceover
I'll just do all the voices for everybody.
Oh,
I'll
hell
change,
yeah.
I'll change my voice. Like for Chris, I'll be like, hey,
No.
Christopher.
You gotta make mine like a little weird but believable.
Believable.
Like goofy. Like
I was gonna make Cody like the manliest one. Like, see.
Basically,
Como se
how many
llama?
personalities could we split Christian into?
Oh, a lot.
I want to be like this.
I'll make Anthony Matter one actually. but no.
That just leaves me. I'm the only one who didn't get pinpointed with an
I'm just gonna keep your voices regular.
not him
English.
as the soccer announcer. He'll just go.
The whole time saying go.
Justin, Christian
I
doesn't
feel
like
I'm
David Lee
forgetting
Roth.
something on this album. I feel like I'm forgetting something on this album. No, that's pretty. I think that's it.
yeah,
No.
like
I made it
Ghost
short
Rider
and
was a pretty cool track. You
Yeah,
just played that.
I've shown it to you a couple times. It's probably one of my favorite songs that they've ever done. It's just
And it's always good to know an album when it has like a compelling story
Yeah,
behind it like that.
and-
That's really awesome.
I love concept albums. There was like really no concept behind this one, but that song has. But every time I listen to any song, I always like to put myself in the shoe and like to imagine what the song's about. That being the rhythm of the song, the melody, the lyrics. I put myself. So when I listen to that song, I put myself like on a motorcycle. Because
Dead or alive.
I mean, there's a lyric on there: "Shadows on the road behind me, shadows on the road ahead." It's like you can't see. You know he can't escape it, and he wrote that. So he bled.
deep.
He bled his heart onto the paper.
man.
Yeah, I'm crying right now.
Beautiful.
It's sad.
So that was Rush Vapor Trails.
Yes.
Thank you, Christian. This has been the first Guestisode of Pure Finds.
Guestisode.
Yeah, the
Guestisode.
Guestisode. This is Guestisode number 1. That's
We
what I'm
had
gonna
Joe.
call it. Guestisode 1.
Oh, but he didn't present. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, he didn't present. This is a Guestisode. Guests present.
We'll get him next time.
So, to all of you who are listening out there, it's official. Now we are letting guests in every few episodes. So send on your requests if you want to be on a Pure Finds episode.
Yep, just $5.
Yep, just
We got a
$17.
PO box.
$17 down, $7 at the door.
BYOB.
No, but please hit us up on either the Facebook, Pure Finds Facebook, or the Chris Morrison Facebook. Just let us know if you want to come on, because we'd love to have you over. We'd love to listen to whatever you have to say. Let us know your favorite albums. Again, I'm Chris Morrison.
I'm in.
I'm Cody.
I'm Kyle.
And Christian.
Yes, we're Pure Finds. We're closed. Now listen to some awesome outro music.